what it is. Don't do it. No, especially with mental health nowadays. No, no, no. Like I told you earlier, we are in a crisis. So I do have a question for you though.
Okay.
Because I've seen it everywhere. Why do men feel like women overlook their mental health?
I think a lot of that is cultural. Because for a long time, Black men were not allowed to show their emotions. They were not allowed to express any type of emotion. They were just taught to keep their head down and provide for their family by any means necessary. They were literally taught to sacrifice their own mental health and happiness for the sake of their family. And I think at that time, it may have been necessary, but now we're in a place where it is okay for men to get their mental health under control and to understand their feelings. Because like I said, a lot of why Black men, in my opinion, a lot of why Black men are viewed as angry is because they don't know how to properly articulate what they're trying to say, and they don't know how to communicate effectively. And that is because that is something that is culturally would consider them to be more feminine. And they don't want to be viewed as less masculine or be called gay or acting white or whatever the narrative is these days. And I think because with women though, I think it's a little contradicting because it's like, I want you to like open up and, tap into your emotional side a little bit, but not so much to where I feel like you can't be a man or I feel like you can't, lead this family. But I think too, what I've been seeing, just with, being exposed to social media, I think it's more of like a comfort thing, because if you are actually providing and doing what needs to be done as a man for his family, I don't think a woman would look at you any differently. I think it's when a woman is not sure of who you are as a man and you are exposing what women deem as a more feminine or softer side, then they begin to question.
Correct.
Because you see, like everybody see now on social media where you see these men that are doing more self-care. But
I would want that though.
But because they're holding it down as the man of the house, their women don't question them. Because you're still getting it done and you're able to, be softer and kinder to us. So, I mean, like you said, a woman would want that because I want you to be able to provide and be able to cater to us emotionally. But like I said, when it's not clear where you stand, it's like, okay, well, something got to be wrong.
Right. Whoa, what's wrong? I feel like I'm losing my voice. I feel like I agree with what you're saying when it comes to if he's taking care of the household properly, a woman would not care. Me as a person, I also have to work on asking, how did your day go? Is anything wrong? The scary thing with me is that I take on everything. So me being the person that I am, and I am in a relationship, it's hard for me because if you do tell me that you're going through something, I'm going to worry about you. Not saying that you can't say anything to me. I'm going to worry because I need to help you fix this. Right. How are we going to fix this? And that's the scary thing for me, because it's like I feel like I should be taking over for him when he should be the head of household, if that makes sense.
Got you. Now, also too, that made me think. So, like now with you are actually a strong female. So like you know how to hold your own. So like
Mm-hmm.
and you know how to maneuver through, okay, he did this, I got you. Okay, this is slipping off a little bit, I got you. You know, we're gonna get it together. But I think that's not the average female. So when you look at it from a perspective of a female who may not necessarily know how to hold her own, who is looking for that man to provide and kind of show her what she need to be doing in a sense of helping him run a household.
Right.
I'm not going to ask you if you're okay, because if you tell me you're not, I don't know what to do.
Right.
So I think a lot of it too is like, okay, and men say that though. Men will be like, okay, I could tell you that I'm not okay, but what next?
Right.
And I think that is a lot of the disconnect, because it's like, I don't know, I think people need to focus more on being a team versus gender roles.
Got it.
Because if it's like, if I show you like what I do, you will know what to do when I can't do it. Correct. Versus if I tell you this is the only thing you need to focus on, right? And you don't know how to do this, then when I can't do it, it's not gonna get done. Right. And for the household to run smoothly, it needs to get done. Right. So yeah, I think people just need to focus on being partners more than focusing on gender roles. Right.
So you feel like, because I feel like sometimes in a relationship you can be 80-20, sometimes you can be 50-50, sometimes you can be 60-40. Right. So I have to agree with you on that. Like, I agree with you like 100% when you say that. Like, we cannot be stuck on gender role, because if we do, we're going to fail every time. The relationships are not going to stick. Right. It's not going to work out. And you are going to jump from person to person, like you said earlier, because I was like, you know, I said, I have to disagree. I was like sitting in my car. I'm like, I'm going to say something to my friend. You know, but I get what you're saying now. It makes so much sense because you just made it clear to me, you know, if they don't know who they are, if they don't know what it is, they are going to jump from person to person because they're trying to find in such. Right. In that person.
I tell people too, like, focus on adding value. I don't care what you're doing. Focus on how you can add value, because if, for instance, like, yeah, you may know how to, so for instance, you know how to wash dishes, but you don't like washing dishes. So your partner will pick up washing dishes, and that works for y'all, right? Right. But in the instance where they can't wash dishes, you still know how to wash the dishes. Correct. So you're like, okay, I ain't got to wash them every day, but I can wash them this one time because he ain't feeling good. You know what I'm saying? Right. It still gets done. Right. And that's, at the end of the day, that's what matters. As long as the household runs effectively, right, everybody is good. And then that takes the pressure off of the kids. They don't see that negative energy. They don't feed off, because that's what's going to happen. They're going to feel that energy and they're going to reciprocate it. So that's why the head needs to be in order, and then that trickles down to everybody else in the house.
So you feel like women should be able to be that person of comfort in the need if a man is going through or need that help.
Right. So, and I'm putting in perspective of like, because I'm sure you too, like, since we have that same, but like, you meet people, like I meet men all the time, just in passing or whatever. And like, we just get to talking and they like tell me so much stuff. Like, it just be, and I can tell, you can tell when a person hasn't really been able to open up, because they just go to rambling, and they be talking. And I just listen because like, I know you just want somebody to listen. Right. And it's a comfort thing. And, you know, women ask like, oh, well, why he won't talk to me, or why he won't. And it's a comfort thing. Right. Like, you have to make him feel comfortable, because like I said, as men, they have a lot on their shoulders and they can't afford to feel like they're going to look weak if they open up. So you have to reassure them, just like women want to be reassured. You have to reassure them that I'm not going to look at you any differently because, you know, you open up to me and you tell me what's going on with you, because life is, let's say, like 80-90% mental and like 10-15 whatever percent physical. Right. Your mental is the most important part. So, and what women need to understand is if you can get a man to like just be good mentally, like everything else will follow. Like if he can get his mental health together, like everything else will follow, and you'll see it. Like you'll start to feel different. Like the relationship will feel different. Like because he'll literally start to become a better version of himself. Because and that's another thing too with like black men. It's like people always be like, oh well, you know how men be like up all night, how they be, you know, on the game all night.
Shit, not mine.
When in reality,
sleeping, I be over there worried. Like, wake up, goodness.
But in reality, a lot of men have that. What's it called? When you can't sleep, insomnia, because they have so much on their mind and they don't got nobody to talk to. So it's like
mine don't mind talking. I have to tell. I be like, be quiet. How you do is talk.
That's good.
But it sometimes it drives me crazy because I'm like, you always talking. And he's like, but he did let me know. We was in the car the other morning. We actually was in Walmart parking lot. And I'm like, shut up. Like, you just keep on talking. He was like, if you didn't know, I'm comfortable with you now.
Right.
We've been to be together for almost 3 years. What you mean you comfortable with me now? But I get it. I understand. Like, you know what I'm saying? Okay, now I can be comfortable with her. I can tell her everything. I can say everything that I want to say. Right. I don't have to hide it because I actually know, you know.
And just to kind of a little bit like how you're saying, like this been almost 3 years or 3 years. And it's like, you have this debate on social media now. It's like, oh, he should know in 6 months.
Somebody gonna know in 6 months because 6 months you might not, a man might punch you in the eye after them 6 months that he didn't do that in the first 6 months.
Right.
No. If he do know you in 6 months, more power to him.
The thing with that is though, like, I feel like the biggest thing with time, these time measurements is like, how much time are y'all spending together though?
Right.
Like, are y'all living together or are y'all seeing each other once a week between schedules?
Right.
So it's like 6 months, but y'all see each other once a week. You don't know that person. 6 months of like living together, you know, y'all might have went through a couple things. Okay, y'all have an idea of each other. But I think too, my biggest thing, which is why I be so hesitant, and it's something that I'm gonna have to just really get over in a sense because it's anxiety. But people change. So it's like, yes, I can marry you today and you could be the perfect person for me, but you may go through something and I don't know how that's gonna change you.
Yeah.
And I may not want to be married to the person that you change into. And I think because I've already been married and divorced, it kind of gives me anxiety.
It's both of us, y'all.
It gives me anxiety, and I'm like, because like I don't know what something might happen. But that's just the reality of it, though. So that's why when people say like, that's why I now say that most cases, like 99% of the time, love is not unconditional. And stop telling people that.
Yeah, it's not. It is not. It is not.
Because it's like, if you cheat on me, I'm gonna leave. That's a condition. If you, I know that's exaggerant, but more or less, if you do something that I'm not okay with, I'm going to leave you, and that is a condition.
Right.
But also, you could say, okay, well, my love is unconditional, but my presence in your life is conditional.
Correct.
So just because I love you don't mean I'm gonna stay with you. And that's the thing. Right. That's another thing too. People feel like, oh, as long as we love each other. Trust me, I learned the hard way.
They need to pick up the Bible because it's different types of love, baby. Listen, everybody ain't got agape love, baby. So you gotta deal with it. How you deal with it. You gotta know what you know. You gotta get to know people. You can't expect people to know you in 3 months. And you can't get people to know you in 6 months. We as women have fairy tale, unrealistic expectations. That is where we're failing. That is where mental health is tumbling down on us. Like we have bricks on us. Because why? We have unrealistic expectations.
And I think too, which is kind of what which I guess goes into what I was saying earlier, is that it's just so much stuff that you need to talk about and get an understanding on before you say, okay, even in relationships now, because normally people get in relationships, a couple months, they're moving in together.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, before you find yourself in a situation, because it's like, okay, you're saying that, because a lot of those situations, like you see, you be like, oh, well, I'm finna break up with him if he don't marry me. It's been, 2 years. And he looking like, damn, I thought we was chilling. Like, I ain't know, like, it was a time restraint on it, because y'all have different opinions on marriage. Like, y'all
unrealistic expectations. We're putting
expectations
on people that we should not put expectations on.
That they didn't agree to.
Correct. So that's the problem. That's where we're failing in relationships as well. You probably get in a relationship with a man that want to be with 3 other women.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all ain't even discussed that.
Right.
He thinking that, like you said, he think y'all cool, y'all good.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where cheating and all this other stuff comes in as well. Nobody communicated. I always mess with my boyfriend. I always tell him, you ain't asked me to be with you. I always tell him that. Mm-hmm. He be like, yes, I did. No, you did. You gave me the title of being your girlfriend.
Right.
So now you got to deal with all the stuff that you got to go through with me. And I feel like even with that, because even his brother was messing with me. He's talking about, he is not about to ask you to be his girlfriend. I'm like, well, he don't want to be in a relationship. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I feel like nowadays, when people like you or want to be in a relationship and stuff like that, they don't have a clear understanding of what they want. You got to let people know, hey, I want to be in a relationship with you. Because you may be talking to a man. Y'all may be talking, mingling, whatever, go out to eat, do different little stuff, just doing stuff. Y'all never said that it was restrictions in that relationship. Right. You never said, we're not going to see different people. We're not going to do X, Y, Z. Mm-hmm. You're expecting that.
Right.
You shouldn't be expecting.
It's like, I don't even know how we got here, but like, we're in a place where we don't want to do too much too fast or ask too much too fast, to where it's like, it's like first date questions, second date questions, where it's like, no, bitch, if I want to know, I'm going to ask.
Exactly.
Because, like,
we too grown.
Right. Like, even with, how I was just talking about the babies and stuff, like, when the debate was going on of like, oh, well, what if the mama don't want to have a baby, but the daddy want to have a baby? Should the mama still have a baby? And it's like, that's, y'all were casually having sex. Cool. But y'all should have had that conversation. What if you get pregnant? What's going to happen? So if you would have said, oh, well, I'm not keeping it. Then he would be like, okay, well, I don't need to deal with you because I don't want to be with nobody that might, get an abortion with my child. Cool. Like, set standards. And I think that's the biggest problem, is we don't set standards. We just kind of have gotten to this point where the sneaky links and we go with the flow and whatever happened. And that's not working. Right. Like, it's really not working. And people just need to be upfront. Like, okay, what do you want? Do you believe in monogamy? Do you want a monogamous relationship? What is cheating? Am I allowed, when I say allowed, but like, are you okay with, me having female friends? Like, are you insecure? Like, and another thing, people don't want to talk about their insecurities. Like, that's stuff that you have, as an adult, that's things that you have to talk about, because if not, it's going to come back up later in the relationship. Right. And the thing about it is that people, like, they feel like, oh, well, we could just overlook it. And then once you 6 months, like, your feelings are involved, and now you're more inclined to settle because you love this person. When had they said that in the beginning, you would have been like, yeah, I'm done with you. Yeah.
But then a lot of people don't know how to be honest as well in the beginning of talking to somebody either, because, they're not comfortable. So therefore, they wait to say things about certain stuff. Like, even me, I don't care about you having female friends. But if I know that we have had situations in our relationship and you lack boundaries, no.
Right.
Why would I want you to be friends with the female? Right. At this point, no. We can, but they'll detour you. Women and men will detour you and be like, okay, I want to have, opposite sex friends and all of this stuff. When in our reality, you don't know boundaries. You don't know how to separate certain stuff. So I just feel like if it was communicated from jump,
definitely,
it could have been fixed. I could have said, hey, you know what? I don't want to be with you no more. But people are afraid of not having people in their lives as well before they get to that point, because they really, really like you and they feel the potential in being with you. So they're not going to tell you.
And I think too, like, because I guess I'll ask the question first. So how do you feel about, I guess technically it's like second chances versus like patterns? I
believe in giving people second chances. When it becomes a pattern and you're doing it over and over again, like let's say I'm with a cheater, right? He cheats on me 2 times. Okay, I forgive him. He cheats on me again. I forgive him. That 4th time he cheats on me, I feel at that point, you do not love me. You do not care for me. What are you here for? What is your motive to being with me? Do you have one?
Right.
You know, why are you holding on to me? Let go. And sometimes we are in relationships and we don't know how to let go of that cheater, the person that's hurting us. We're just there because we love. But love can't hold the weight for you all the time.
It's not, bro.
It's not going to. You're going to mentally and forever be messed up. You're going to forever have trust issues with that person if you do not get it together. If one of you all don't let go, I feel at some point you have to let go. Somebody has to let go. Or it's going to stay a pattern. After the second time and you're still doing it over again, that's a repeated pattern. Yeah. It's no way you should be there.
And I think, so when I decided that I didn't want to be married no more. So what happened was like horrible communication, like probably the bigger issue, horrible communication. And then, you know, I was like, okay, we go in circles, like we keep coming back here. So either we need to go to therapy or this is just not something that I'm willing to keep doing with you. And, you know, he was like, I'm not going to therapy. And I was like, okay, I'm out. And like, it was, and people always like, how are you that cut and dry? I'm like, cause it's like, we're not going to get better. I'm not going to sit here and keep doing the same thing with you. I'm going to get the same results.
Right.
And they're like, oh, I can't do that.
I'm sorry. That's your problem. That's why. And people always ask me a question, like I said, when, like, even like with me in the past, like somebody said, oh, my ex-husband was their baby daddy. Then again, a couple months later, somebody else said the same thing. No, you got me messed up. No. Yeah. People like, oh, that's your husband. You should stay, this and that. No, you stay.
Right. Do we know that?
No. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like people don't understand. If I would have stayed, I could have mentally checked out.
Right.
Y'all don't know that. And a lot of people tell people stuff that they haven't even been through. Don't tell me things that you have not been through. Don't try to coach me through something that you have not been through.
Right.
That's a problem for me, especially if I know you haven't been through it. Would you stay? You can't say what you will do and what you won't do unless unless you actually have had that happen. Right. You don't know what you're going to do or what your reaction is going to be until that happened. So to save myself, I removed myself.
Literally. Same. Yep.
Point blank, period. If you don't know how to save yourself, you're never going to be able to get ahead in life. You have to save yourself at some point. Yep. You got to.
Because if you keep doing the same thing, you're not going to get nowhere. And it's like, oh, well, I think, and a lot of people, kind of similar to my situation, but a lot of people just be trying to save face, man. I'm like, bro, I don't care what people think. I want to be happy. Like, I don't care.
Them same people gonna sit there and laugh and talk about you as long as you stick around. They're gonna laugh at you whether you leave. They're gonna talk about you whether you stay. So why does it matter?
Right.
The people don't care about you. They just want to be in your business.
Exactly.
You know? So you just got to learn to separate it. Survive. Do whatever you gotta do to get where you need to be. I'm not gonna sit here and hold myself back. Not for nobody. Yeah. Once I mentally check out from you, it's a wrap. I'm done. It's nothing you could do. Talk to me. It's done. I really, when I'm mentally checked out from someone, I don't even really want to communicate with you unless I have to.
Right.
That's just that.
It's funny. My friends say that like all the time. They be like, listen, when he say he done with somebody, he done. So I'm like, because what we talk about, like after we decided that this is not what it's gonna be, like what is there to talk about? Ain't no spinning no blocks.
Ain't no spinning the bean.
Right. We ain't doubling back because for what, bro?
You ain't do right the first time, you ain't gonna do right the second time.
Exactly.
Especially when you was a repeat offender. No. Exactly. It's a wrap. You're done.
And I think also too, as humans, we are for whatever reason, we like this, we just like to see how far we can get with certain stuff. And I feel like if I give you a pass, you're gonna do it again.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
And that's just how I feel, like wholeheartedly. So it's like
what the old saying say, I give you an inch and you take it a mile.
Exactly. Because it's like once you get away with something, you go, oh, I'm gonna do it again.
I'm gonna see if she gonna stay. I'm gonna see if he gonna stay. I'm gonna see.
And that's why they be crying so bad when you be like, I'm leaving. Because
and really that's what I say. And it's so crazy because I used to. I made this statement where I said I used to want to get my leg back, but now you can't even pay me to get my leg back because you know what? What's gonna come for you? That karma that's gonna hit your ass. It's gonna hit you real hard. You ain't even gonna be able to stand on your own. So that's why I tell people no. I ain't gonna do back and forth lick backs and shit. You can go. Right. Get out of here.
I think too, like once you get to a point, one, of peace, two, to a place where you really understand like who you are and what you like, who you are to this world. Like, I don't want to be attached to you. And the more I entertain you, the more like people see us as a whatever, a thing. That's why I say I made this comment with somebody the other day, and we were just talking about people. And I was like, I can't do that because our names don't go in the same sentence.
Not the same sentence.
Like, because it's just like certain stuff. Like, and this is just not, not being arrogant or anything. It's just like, realistically, our names don't go in the same sentence.
It ain't gonna work.
So it's like, no. And I think people need to just stand more firm on, who they are. And like you said, people often settle because they want company, and all company ain't good company. And I think everybody should know that by now. But be by yourself. It's okay. I promise you. Like,
be alone. Hold a pillow. It's okay.
Right. You'll be okay. I'm happy. Trust me. I am happy.
I am happy.
It's like, for real. Like I said, the peace you get from, just because a lot of people can't sit and quiet. A lot of people don't know how to be by themselves. But once you overcome that and you get to a place where it's like, I'm okay. Like, I can sit home and I can watch a movie by myself, or I can go out to eat and enjoy the meal by myself, like whatever. And it's like, that's a different level of like peace.
Because it's crazy that you do say that, because like between my last daughter dad and Marcus, like, I was telling Marcus, I ain't trying to be in no, like, I ain't really on that. Like, I just thought that we was going to go eat and we was just going to be friends.
Right.
And that was it. Like, I was not trying to see anybody. I wasn't trying to be like in a relationship, I was just trying to chill. If you want to hang out, whatever, because in between them, I had like one or two friends or whatever. But it wasn't nothing like that. Like, I wasn't really on that. Like, you can come, you ain't gonna be like living in my house type thing. No, like, I wasn't on that. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
Let's just say, So I just feel like it's a little tough when you're talking about actually. I can't even put it in words without sounding you know, I'm just gonna say, you know, 'cause
right,
or whatever. But it's just, you know, people be peopling, for one thing. So that's why it's kind of scary to be in a relationship and stuff thing. Too. It scared me.
People, man, because when you think about it, like, because I be telling pretty much everybody, just like people that I coach and stuff, like, once you get to a place of like when you're more aware of like your mental health and you get into a place where you're like genuinely happy, like that is comparable to the 1%.
Yeah.
So it's like you're looking for people, and like the average person is not going to fit into your lifestyle because they still indulging in whatever they indulging in, and it just doesn't fit. And like you said, a lot of people just out here dating because, you know, like, oh, well, you know, they cute. And I'm just like, okay, what else?
I got this big old head. What you doing? And like, we not compatible. Like, and people don't understand that they're not compatible with people. And sometimes, like, it's just not there or whatever. Like, the only time I feel some type of way, and not to like put my business out, honestly, I don't really care. But when you're going through mental health and stuff like that, and people kind of leave you on a ledge because they don't understand what you're going through. And even if you did tell them, they still don't know what you're going through. So I feel like if you're leaving somebody at a rough moment because they're going through something, it's a problem, if that makes sense. So that's the only time I don't really believe in that much. I feel like you should be there for people. Wait till they get over what they're going through. And
so you
then,
mean like for instance, like don't break up with them while they're going through an episode or something?
Right. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing I don't really believe in.
I agree. Personally, I would find a way to be there for them as a friend.
Right.
So that way I don't drown myself trying to save them.
Right.
But like you said, people gonna people, and I know people that will use their mental health as an excuse. Where they're not actually trying to get better. Right. Just to keep people around. Like they'll use it as an excuse, like every other day, like, oh, you know, I'm finna hurt myself. Yeah. And it's just like, that's not saying that I would tell you, oh, well, go do it. Obviously, I wouldn't say that. Please don't. Right. Obviously, I wouldn't say that either. Yeah. But it's just like, come on, bro. Like, no, why would you? Because to somebody who cares about you, like, that's very draining. That's very just mentally exhausted because they're constantly in a state where they're worried about you and you playing.
Right. Don't do that. I do. And I don't like them type of people. I will block you. Yeah. I will not communicate with you. If you ever sit there and lie and say you're going to kill yourself or anything like that because I take it serious, don't do that. Right. That is grounds for me not to even talk to you again. Yeah. I don't care who you are. Absolutely. Don't do that. Don't play about that. Absolutely. Because I feel females and males do it. And I understand that you're upset. Don't do that. Right. Don't do that. That is something serious. You could break somebody by saying that. And I'm sorry. No, you go ahead. I was going to say, most people, when they're going to kill themselves, they're not going to come tell you that they're going to do it. Right. Because they don't want you to stop them. Exactly. So that's why I'm like, don't tell people that. Because somebody they could mentally be going through something. Right. They didn't tell you that they were going through something, and you go say that to them, and then they go harm themselves because they thinking that you about to harm yourself. No, don't do that. I feel like that's tough. That's it is, bro. Tough.
And it's hard because it's like, for the person on the outside, it's like you don't know when to take them serious or when to kind of be like, maybe they just trying to get a reaction out of me. So I think if anybody's currently going through that, what I would say is don't be there for them, but kind of don't make it your responsibility.
Correct. I have to agree with you on that.
Because I think a lot of times we get so caught up in being the superhero. And we like, oh, I could have did this, I could have did that. I should have been there. But it's like, at the end of the day, for better or worse, they made a decision that they felt was best for them in that moment. And if they wanted to do it, they were going to do it. So you can't say, oh, well, I could have saved them. Of course, we want to make it, make ourselves feel better. Like, oh, I could have did this or I could have did that. But no.
It is what it is.
We're all responsible for our own mental health.
Right. It's serious.
Yeah.
It's deep. It's real deep. So,
and I think that's one of, like, how you're saying, like, how you feel like that's very serious. Like, I feel the same way. That's like one of my, I think what Eric Thomas called them, like, pain points. Because I had a friend that committed suicide, and he did, like, try to reach out for help or whatever, to the wrong people. We'll just say that. So he ended up committing suicide, and I just feel like because I was younger, so, like, my younger self, I'm just sitting there trying to think, like one, to feel that bad, like, about yourself, to where you feel like the world would be better off without you. I just couldn't understand that. And then to actually reach out for help to people that you thought were going to help you, and they
failed you.
So, and it's just, so for me, that's always like a very touchy subject, because like, and to kind of elaborate a little more on the death anxiety, I feel like that triggered from all the way back to high school. It's like, and it's crazy because for me personally, it was like 3 major people in my life that had passed away. It was like 10th grade year, 11th grade year, 12th grade year.
Wow, so it hit you back to back.
So it's like, I couldn't, and then I didn't have nobody actually help me process it. So the process was already being dragged out.
Right.
And it's like, before I could even process one, another one happened. And then, like I said, that was just 3 people that I was actually close with. It was still people around me that was, dying or, being murdered or whatever the case may be. So it was just like so much death going on around me. And like I said, for me to be so young when all of that happened, I think the death anxiety is just me, just because I experienced so much death so young, like, just feeling like most people die young. Right. So I feel like the fear for me is like dying before I fulfill my purpose. Right. But yeah, like that, and it's so crazy because looking back, I remember when Neil passed away, they came to the school and they was like, "Oh, we got counselors and stuff," and it was like, "We sure you go to sit on counsel, like, we good, like, we'll figure it out." And then also just because it was the same day, so it's like I got so many other emotions going on right now. I didn't think about going to see no counselor. Right. And then that was my 12th grade year, so that was like 2013. Then 2016, my grandma passed away, and I knew that I was just mentally checked out because, like I said, my grandma was like my person. And I remember my dad called me. He was like, "Your grandma passed away," and I just felt like a second of like heaviness, and then it was like, I'm back. So I was like, I know if I was like conscious of like what just happened, like I would have like really felt some type of way. So I said at that point, I knew I had like emotionally blocked out and like shut down. So part of me, like, I didn't really start working on myself like mentally and everything until maybe like 4 years ago. So all of the progress that I have now has just been me just like being on it these last couple of years. Right. And it has been a lot. And writing the books helped. Yeah, yes. But yeah. So yeah, that's personally why I don't play about stuff like that. Like, and I don't, like you said, when people like use that as like an excuse or a weapon, I cut them off completely. Yeah, you get cut off quick. Don't play with me. Mental health is serious to me. I don't play about that. I just don't. No, it's a no for me. Yeah. If you gotta play a game like that, you don't want to be in my life. Right. Everybody know how I am about mental health. Yeah. So don't even come over here playing like that. I promise you, I would break up with you for that than cheating. I ain't even finna lie to you. Do not play with me
when it comes to mental health. Don't use that as a pawn, telling me what you gonna do and all this other stuff like that. Because I done been through so much.
Mm-hmm.
That hurt to the core. Don't play with me like that. I'm telling you, you don't get no. You ask about second chance, you're gonna get a second chance.
I don't think you get a second chance.
Don't play with me about mental health at all. I just can't take it.
Like I said, with me being an emotional person, I can't do it. Like, that's just too much for me.
Yeah, that's just way too much.
It's just too much for me.
So with that being said, do you think being in America, being Black in America alone weighs on your mental health?
I do. See? Heavy. Just heavy. But because we're already, just being Black in America in itself, we're already looked at as a villain. Like, people will be like, oh, well, not everybody's like that, but the majority.
Right.
And if nobody else, the people in power. So, and then you have the media and then all that crap.
Yeah.
But it just made me spiral. So, but in short, yes. Because of the way that Black people are perceived in America, that is a heavy weight in itself. And then within the Black community, we, I don't want to say like beat each other up, but there is turmoil within the Black community in itself, because we try to, how would I put it, separate. We subcategorize, where it's like if you're light skinned or you're dark skinned or gay, straight, like, and I think it's just, I would say I feel like it started because, originally Black people are being bullied. So then they turned that into, okay, well, who can we bully because we don't like being bullied?
Right.
So I just say like the bullies become bullies.
Right.
Or the bullied becomes bullies.
Right.
So I think we subconsciously internalized that. Right. And kind of paid it forward within our own community. So
instead of bullying the bullies, now I'm just playing. But yeah.
Yeah. So, and I think that's where a lot of our turmoil comes from. Because also the concept of like how you like the whole crab is in a bucket mentality. It's like the crabs in a bucket with limited to no resources. They're gonna fight. They're gonna try to kill each other to try to get out of the bucket to get more resources. And I think that's why we can't never seem to like truly and genuinely come together, because it's like we're so afraid of not making it, or afraid of somebody else taking our opportunity, because for a long time there weren't a lot of opportunities for Black people. There were like one or two. Right. So we were all fighting or competing for the same opportunities. And like just how we say like generational curses and like all that stuff comes down too. Right. So I think my biggest thing is like, I know how people always compare Malcolm and Martin. I feel like Martin, they both were important. They both had both of their missions were important. Right. I feel like Martin was just more on the like emotional kumbaya, everybody come together. Right. Everybody come together, because it was kind of like, because when you tell people they can't have something, they want it. Right. So when they told us like, oh, well, we don't want y'all around us. It's like, okay, well, now we want to be around y'all, because that's going to validate us. Right. Whereas Malcolm's standpoint was like, I ain't thinking about y'all. I'm just thinking about what we want as a culture. Right. And we're going to move forward with or without y'all. Right. And my personal opinion, I think that's the side that I fall to, because it's like, we need to take the focus off of white approval. Right. And white inclusion.
Right.
and just focus on being Black in America,
right,
and moving forward.
Right. I agree.
So, but what's that's the thing. So, and I think from the beginning, like, it's always been known how powerful we are, and I think that's why they didn't push like mental health.
Right.
They didn't push education because they knew once we realized who we were and how powerful we were, we were coming.
Right.
And they didn't want that. And it's like, even though now it's kind of, that's why I say it's different than saying like, okay, you can have this now, than versus saying like, okay, hey, this is what you missed. Because if they had said like, okay, now that, even though, and that's the thing with, like I was saying the other day, I said like, you know, if you have Medicaid, you can go to therapy for free. It's covered.
That's true. That's true.
They didn't tell nobody that. Like they didn't advertise that because they don't want people going to get therapy. They don't want people.
They have different programs out there
conscious.
like Ignite and stuff like that that actually take Medicaid.
They want us to stay on weed and alcohol and
the things that deter us.
Right. Stay deterred so that we don't come together and get ahead.
Should people wait until it's unimaginable before they seek help?
No, I think again, as a culture, just overall, but obviously with this situation, people need to, or we need to transition from being reactive to being proactive. So like I was saying earlier, like don't wait until, you know, you on the ledge or you already having the suicidal thoughts and you like, okay, for instance, I always, I ain't gonna say joke. I do joke, but it's not like in a bad way, but like, you know, the 13th Reasons TV show, like don't wait till you're on your 12th reason to go to therapy. Like once you realize that, hey, this is starting to build up, like I need to unpack some of this baggage, like you need to go to therapy. Like, and I think the main thing is, or one of the main things is people need to understand that trauma is relative.
Right.
Because like for a while, like I was always like with my childhood, like I didn't think that, or I told myself that my childhood wasn't traumatizer because I'm like, you know, other people had like real stuff going on.
Yeah.
So I'm like, bro, like
it was in foster care. They ain't even live with they aggravating mama. They yelling mama. Yeah,
right.
And
so
stuff
I'm
like
like,
that.
you know, other people, you know, had like, at least I was in the house. I was safe. Like whatever, I guess.
Right. We digress.
Right. And then, but like, you know, as I started to learn more about it, I was like, no, like trauma is relative. Like you experience trauma like in your own perspective, like under your circumstances. So like what you went through in your circumstances was traumatic. What they went through in their circumstances was also traumatic. So you can't, so that's why I say you can't tell people like, you know, what's a serious trauma or what's not a serious trauma because it's relative. So definitely, like I said, I feel like it should be integrated with your self-care. Like I said, you don't have to go once a week. You can go once a month. Just like just checking in.
Yeah, I went once a week when I started. So yeah.
And then so I'm saying like just I tell them just go. Like just make the initial appointment and just be open and honest.
See how you like it.
Right. And just be open and honest with your therapist or counselor and then go from there. Like, okay, but everybody like, okay, well, I don't think you need to come every week. You know, just come once a month. Let's just do, you know, routine checkups. Right. You know, you just come here, you decompress. Because I think
so like you feel like it's healthy to go once a month to therapy.
Yes,
okay, I get it.
At least once a month. And I think too, because like for me, like when I initially went to my first session, like I wasn't depressed or anything. Like I said, I had the
I wasn't open on my first session. I think I lied. I was just like, I don't know you. Like, I ain't gonna sit here. I'm telling you, I don't think I lied. I don't think I fully told the truth when I went to my first counseling session. Like, I didn't even say that I was going to counseling. Like, nobody even knew in my house. I was sneaking going to counseling. So it was just, I literally.
I think that's kind of expected, I wasn't though.
Open, like you said, just go decompress and kind of like be there. So I was like, I gotta get to know you. And her name was Karen. She was black. And I was just like, I don't know about you, Karen. I gotta get to know you. I need to see. And then I start opening up as it went on.
I think that's with anything though. Like anytime you meet somebody new in general, therapists aside, like you're gonna have to get a feel for them. Like first, because like I said, even the same thing with like relationships. Like I have to feel comfortable talking to you before I tell you all my business.
Right.
Like especially when you're talking about trauma and stuff. Like these are things that most people are insecure about. So before I bare my soul to you, I need to at least feel like I can trust you, whether I can or not.
Do you think that a therapist that is not Black could help us in our community?
Short answer, yes. Long answer, I feel like it's gonna depend on the person. Some people, depending on their experiences, won't receive well from a non-Black therapist, especially someone who's gone through a police brutality experience, for example. But I feel like with therapy being more science-based and not experience, like life experience based, they can help to a certain extent. You'll just have to get on a common ground of communication, because like it's like certain things that I can say or the way I may respond that the therapist won't really understand. Like for example, when I was telling my therapist is white. But when I was telling my therapist about like, all the death that I experienced while I was in high school, he just kind of like,
like what?
Like looked at me like he was just so taken aback. And then that's kind of when it's like, okay, this is like a big thing, like because, but for me to tell you that, you'll probably be like, oh, okay, yeah, I know a couple people. It's cultural. So yeah, I feel like a Black person would be more comfortable having a Black therapist.
Correct.
Communication would be clearer, like a little more fluid. But I feel like if you're willing to do the work, yes, a non-Black therapist could still be effective.
Honestly, with me in that, even when I got on the profiles, because we have a profile here in Marion County, I don't know if you know about it, that you can pull up all of the therapists.
Oh, okay.
I won't lie. I looked for somebody that looked like me.
Right.
Miss Karen reminded me of me. So I went with her. I reached out to her, emailed her. She didn't take Medicaid. She did like a sliding scale. She said, if you can't afford this, it'll be this. She made that scale reasonable for me to come see her. And she was nice enough to do that. And I would go see her and stuff like that. But I picked her based upon me.
And people always say like, oh, well, why when you walk into like a building or a party, like all the Black people together, all the white people together, it's just when you're going into a room where you don't necessarily know everybody, you're going to go where you feel most comfortable. And when I see people who look like me, I feel comfortable. In most cases. And it's funny because I asked a question on TikTok the other day, and I asked Black men specifically, like, where do you feel like you can go and you will feel safe? And a lot of them said nowhere.
Ooh, you just gave me an idea, but we'll talk about afterwards. I hate when I have that in the middle of the show because it's just like, ooh, you just made me think of something. Okay.
But and I'm just like, and I kind of had an idea how that was gonna go. But like really, man, because it's like I said, like we don't know how far we could trust other cultures, and then we have our own battles within our own culture where it's like either we in the hood fighting for the same resources, or it's like I made it out and I want to help y'all, but I don't know if y'all actually appreciate that, or when y'all get a chance, y'all gonna try to like do something to me. So it's like when you can't even feel safe around your own people, I think it puts you in a different mental state. And it's like even when we can get to a place of comfort or peace, there's still that level of survival mode that you have to keep because you just never know. And just I think that's just in America in general, but especially as a Black man.
Do you think excessive use of drugs in the Black community is related to mental health for Black people?
Yes. Because I feel as though if you are going to take, a drug or alcohol, something that's going to alter your state of thinking because you want it to slow down, you don't want to be, 100% lucid. It's because you're avoiding something. Like it's either something that you don't want to think about, an emotion that you don't want to feel, or maybe I've heard people say it's like an insecurity. Like, oh, people tell me I'm nicer when I'm drunk. People tell me I'm more fun. I'm more fun when I'm drunk, or just like I said, just dealing with the stressors of everyday life. Some people drink because of their job. Some people drink because of their family. Some people drink because trauma that they haven't worked through.
And then there's me, scared to drink.
But that's why I said I do think, even though I like give people crap about it on Facebook just because, but I think it is good that they legalize marijuana because I think that would help with a lot of people who aren't ready to go to therapy, who just need, something to take the edge off. I don't agree with an excessive use of anything because I feel like too much of anything is bad for you. But
so you know where I'm gonna go with that.
I do
not. So when you say that, I know you said no excessive use of it. Do you think people use marijuana and stuff to cope with mental health?
Absolutely.
Because some people be like, no, it's not. They're in denial because they're like, it's, I just do it for fun. But it's no way you could smoke all day, every day. You got people that smoke once or twice a week, but then you got people that I know smoke back to back.
Right. And because what I tell people is like, if you're always high or, your mind is always altered, how do you know who you are? How do you know how you feel for real? Like, how do you know that the decisions that you make are decisions that you would actually make if you weren't under an influence?
Right.
So it's like, because my thing is like, me personally, like, I don't have any like bad experiences with like, weed or alcohol. But like I don't do it because I don't want my mind to be altered. Like I want to be fully aware of what's going on at all times.
That's why I won't take anxiety medication because I ain't trying to be altered. I'm sorry, y'all. More about I'm not telling you don't do it. Whoever watch it,
right.
I'm not telling you don't take your anxiety meds. I don't take it because I don't like the way I feel. So I don't take it. Even though everybody around me is like, you're not supposed to be overthinking all the time. You're not supposed to be. Yeah. I'm like, baby, I be in slow motion, but I don't want to feel like that. I want to be aware, like,
And it's so funny because not funny, but
I get what you're saying.
Coincidental. But I remember when we were younger, we had a friend. Me and my brother had a friend that was bipolar at the least. And he would have to take medication. And I remember his mom would say, like, I hate giving it to him because once I give it to him, he's like a zombie. But he's not manageable otherwise. And like you could tell it like a clear difference. Like 1 minute he's like up, joking around, laughing around with us, whatever, fighting or whatever. And then once he take it, he just sitting like
just chill,
spaced out.
Yeah, that's why I tell people that. No, I feel like I wish it was another way to.
It has to be
help. I know it's like talk therapy and stuff like that, but I some people probably really, really need it. But I feel like a lot of stuff is situational. We go through things. Our bills might not be paid, so we're stressed out. So that makes us depressed. A family member may have died. That's situational still. So I feel like a lot of stuff have us in that pickle, and we may go to the doctor in that time because we're depressed, and here they go. They want to put us on medication. Right. But some of those medications cannot be situational. You get off of that junk, you might be sick for days. Right. You know?
And then too, like in a part of the excessive use is that because they'll be like, oh, well, I just do it because I like doing it. And it's just like, no. Because you do it because you're trying to cope with something. And you become reliant on it. Correct. And then because when it get to the point where people are saying like, oh, I can't eat until I smoke. That's a problem. Like that, like that's not normal. So I'm like, no. And that's why I think I forgot what they said exactly, but more or less they said was people who are in like remission, I think not remission, I think that's like AA and stuff. It was like a lot of people don't stay sober because they're trying to fix alcoholism, and alcoholism is not their issue. It's why they're drinking the alcohol. Correct. Fix the mental part of it, and then you won't need the alcohol.
Right. That makes sense.
So
it definitely makes sense.
And that's why I always tell people that. I ask people all the time, like, if they drink or they smoke, I'm like, why? They're like, I don't know. And I'm like, might want to figure that out. Right.
What was something mental health related that was hard for you to overcome or accept?
Mental health related. I'm trying to think. I guess it's this whole death anxiety thing. Like I'm still not
kind of in shock by it.
Like, because it's like, imagine like the I guess the idea of the death anxiety is the fear of dying. Right. Dying is inevitable. Right. So it's like, how do you really get over it? Like, so I don't know.
It'll take because you're focused on it. So that is the problem. When you're no longer focused on it, it will not bother you, or you will not think about it as much because you haven't always had death anxiety. Correct. You get what I'm saying? Correct. We focus on certain things because, like I said, I actually dealt with that issue as well. You actually taught me what I actually have because my therapist didn't say anything about death anxiety or anything like that. But my cousin brother, but he's more like my brother. When he got killed, ever since then, I don't even like going to funerals and stuff like that. I'm sorry, I'm out. Like, if it ain't like my grandma or my mama or my sister or my brother, like somebody like that, I'm sorry. Yeah, like I'm not just going to people's funerals just because somebody passed away. I'm sorry. And I could have went to school with you or something like that. I'm sorry. I'm not a fan of that. I can't.
And I hate that that's such like a mindless thing that we do now as a culture. Like, oh, somebody died. We do a week. That's all they talk about on social media. Then we do the shirts, and then we do the funeral.
And they don't even check on the family.
And then all that.
2 weeks later, nobody's checking on.
And then it just vanishes in thin air. But yeah, like I don't do funerals. Like, I don't know. And it's so crazy because like I went to my grandma's funeral, which I don't even know, but like I know, like I guess after they like do the embalming and everything, I don't even feel like they look like the same person. So because I went to her funeral, and then before that, the last funeral that I went to was Neil's funeral. So I went 2013, 2016. But after that,
I don't even think I went to his funeral. I think I just went to like the after effect or whatever, because they lived, I think, over in Lowell. And that was it. I did. Yeah, I'm not a fan of funerals.
I don't do funerals no more, and I used to feel bad about it. But now I'm just like how you're saying, like I have to do what's best for me,
right?
And I can't do funerals.
Ever since then, ever since my brother, like, no, I'm sorry. Like, it's no disrespect to anybody, family,
right?
I'm not trying to hurt nobody's feelings. It's just not my thing,
right?
And just don't do it. I love y'all,
right?
I just can't mentally. I can't. And that's not being selfish. That's just me taking care of me.
Right. Me prioritizing my mental health.
Right. Definitely.
I don't do funerals. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, y'all. Love y'all. Just can't do it. Do you think the idea of toxic masculinity is damaging to Black men's health issues? Well, mental health as a whole.
I would say yes, because like we were talking about earlier, gender roles and things like that. Like Black men don't feel. I'm gonna say a lot of Black men, because of course they'll be like, they don't apply to me, but a lot of Black men I feel like don't feel safe with checking on their mental health, or just doing anything as it relates to self-care. And I think a lot of women like don't even realize that like how this debate of like, oh, I don't want my man playing no games. Like a lot of men go to work, come home, be with the kids, be with their wife, and then they play their game, because on their game they can get online, they can play with their friends. Like that's their therapy. Like that's their self-care.
Yeah, I be telling people, you rather him out there cheating or do you rather him playing the game? I am that friend. I say stuff like that because what you mean? Like I don't care about him. I don't care about you coming home playing the game. You rather him be out there in the streets at another girl house, or you rather him sit at home playing on the game, talking to his homeboys through the thing? Like you can't be that selfish and that controllable, trying to treat him like a kid, like he can't do nothing. Mine get mad when I say like, I'm not checking on you when you go out. If it has been too long, yeah. But if he say, oh, I'm gonna go to XYZ, I don't call him. I just don't.
Yeah. Same.
When you at work, he's like, you could text me at, and when I check my phone, I could text you back. No, I know you at work.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I feel like if you got to treat that man like a child, you should not be with them.
Right.
Point blank, period.
And I think too, something that needs to be acknowledged. Well, I think it's probably been acknowledged, needs to be worked on. A lot of women know, or they use it as a manipulation tactic. To where it's like I said, like when I'm being soft and chivalrous to you, it's fine. But when I'm doing something that's soft or chivalrous, like that doesn't benefit you, I'm less than a man, or you want to, call me gay or whatever the case may be, because it's gonna get the reaction that you want,
right?
Or it's gonna make me not do like. How they be like, oh, well, you always with your homeboys, like that's gay because you don't want me to be with my homeboys.
Right.
And if I associate that with being gay, I'm gonna stay home.
But some people don't even communicate with their partners about them even hanging out with their homeboys. You never said not one time you didn't want me to hang with my homeboys. You just complain about me me being with my homeboys. So you're not telling me what you want. So I'm gonna continue to do it.
Yeah.
Simple. I can't say that. Even when a lot of people be like mad at me all the time for like taking up for men that ask for a blood test. I be on their ass every time. Because what you mad for? Right. And people be like, well, it's the tone that he asked. We don't know the tone that he asked. Because if he say, oh, I want to, whether he said in a calm tone or a mean tone, you're going to be mad because why? Right. Half of the women that had said something back to me, they're like, and people even inbox me. It be their tone, the way that they ask, the way that they say it. Nobody else heard that.
Right.
Nobody was there when he asked. We not in your text message.
I think,
you know what I'm saying? I feel like that too, men get looked at in a different way. I feel like certain things men should actually have some wiggle room with. If one of my baby daddies right now, I know my kids look like them. If they say, hey, I want a blood test, I will not deny them that blood test.
And I think, and even when it comes to like, you know, people would be like, oh, well, you know, black men are so homophobic. True. But honestly, I personally feel like a lot of that comes from their women. Because they'll be like, oh, well, you can't do this, or, you know, that's gay, or you can't hang with this person because that's gay, or because you want men, or y'all want certain men or whatever to act a certain way.
A man can't even say he tired without a woman saying, oh, you gay,
sassy.
you sassy,
like,
you sleepy. I'm like, you can't be sleepy. You can't be more sleepy than me. And I just feel like that too. I feel like the new age women, we have became a little bit selfish. We feel a little more entitled. Because even when I said like, oh, I'll go 50-50 in my household, I don't know what you would do. Because we're not going to be on the same page all the time. What if one of us get hurt at work? What happens? What happens?
That's another thing. Like, people, I don't think women understand. Not to say like there are some men that don't mind doing it. A lot of men that don't mind doing it and that are doing it. But I think as a partner, I think women should take into consideration what that does to a man's mental health. That's not, or may not be in the best place to do it. Like I say all the time, if you can do it, do it. Like, but don't compromise your mental health to do it, because you have a lot of men that will go to work. Because like most men work with their hands. So you have men that are like construction workers and painters, and like those type of warehouse jobs. And they going to work 12, 14 hours a day, and they barely have no time to come home, eat shit, and shower, and they got to go back to work. That's not no type of life for him to live. Right. So do you love him or don't you? Because if you love him, you wouldn't want him to do that. Right.
I don't know. I feel like it's a lot of women, they want to be taken care of, but they can't take care of.
Right.
And I feel like if you can't take care of him, don't get with him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I feel like even all the way down to having kids with certain people. No. Yeah. You can't. No, you can't. Y'all can't even help each other. Why bring somebody else in this world? That's why I say I feel like even with that, I tell people all the time, I wish I had somebody in my ear saying, don't have no more kids. I should have been one and done. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it's just like, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like it's so many people out here pushing certain stuff on us and pushing certain lifestyles on it. And social media is big on the pushing of the having the kids, having the fancy, having a relationship, the crazy relationship expectations. All girls feel like they should be taken care of. Yeah. Nobody feel like they should be paying bills. But one thing about me, I'm gonna pay my bills. Because just in case you have to leave, or what if that man die? Right. What happens? And you ain't got not one dime saved in your bank account because you wanted to buy bags and shoes and this and that to look good on social media. Right. Instagram.
And to that, also, like I was saying, like that 1%, like people are not understanding that the men that could do that are the men that are considered the 1% of the world. Maybe 2% if we gonna talk like six figures or whatever. But still, like, or bottom six figures, but still that's like 1 to 2% of the world. And y'all expected the homies on the block to be able to, that. Right. And then that's pushing more men to feel like they have to sell drugs because I don't have an education. What else am I gonna do that's gonna suffice? So it's like you said,
then they get to go to prison and all this other stuff, and then you got some more drama, you got some more stuff going on. Really have to get a job. Exactly. You know?
And then if you don't have a hustle to be an entrepreneur, you're fucked.
In real life. Like, that's just it. Yeah. That's the most straightforward that you can get it. That's what it is.
So I said, bro, and people act like, even my counselor, because we talked about like what I want to do and stuff. And, you know, he was like, because like we had this similar conversation. He was like, so, like, where do you start? And I was like, bro, I was like, it feels like there's like 100 little fires. And I don't know which one to put out first, or try to put out first, rather. So I just like to look at it from like a bigger perspective and to actually want to actually help the culture as a whole. It's a lot, but I think for me, like I've just been trying to I wouldn't say think smaller in a sense. Like I'm not out to like change the world, like
right.
But I feel like if I could at least make a difference in my city and then it can multiply, like that would be good enough for me.
My biggest thing when you say that is the goal isn't to change the world. The goal is if you can just get one person, just one, out of thousands of people, you've helped someone.
Right.
You know? So I always think about it like that. Just one. True. Just helping one other person.
Yeah, that's true.
Can get a long ways. Because that person you may help might be way better than you when it comes to something. And they may utilize what you told them and flourish. So that's why I say all it takes is one.
I don't know. I think also too, like that was something that me and my therapist had talked about. Like I just like, because of I didn't have anybody like in my immediate family or whatever that I like looked up to. The first person that I actually looked up to that I admired was Eric Thomas. And of course he's 50-ish. So he's like already like at the prime. So he's like doing crazy stuff. And that's all I'm looking at. So it's like, dang, I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to do that. And I also have to scale back. Like, bro, he's like, he got like 20 years on me. Like, chill out. Like, you got time. And like, that's where I kind of been at lately. Just kind of reminding myself that the world's not ending. You know, my anxiety is anxiety. Like, don't let it get
that's what it is.
Right. And I'm gonna do what I want to. Like, I'm gonna do what needs to be done and just kind of enjoy the process.
With anxiety and depression and all of that stuff like that. What's some ways that we can tell people to help them cope?
So healthy ways that I have found helpful is like I'm a big music head. So like when I find myself like going down the anxiety hole, I'll turn on some music that's like triggers something else, and then my mind will go somewhere else. And I just like start vibing to the music. So that's why people talk crap about rod wave.
That's
rod wave music, right? Rod wave music is very therapeutic if you've actually been through something.
Yeah, love that boy. I love that boy.
Yeah. So definitely music. I go to the gym a lot more now. And I just kind of usually listen to music while I'm at the gym, but it just kind of spaces you out. It gives you something else to focus on. So I would say anything that you enjoy, like, because if you enjoy something, it's going to automatically take your mind off of whatever you was thinking about anyway. So just find a hobby that like you can really find yourself being consumed with, and just do that. Like, if you like to write, if you like to draw, if you like to paint, if you like to just go for walks, like sightsee, if you like to swim, like anything can be therapeutic or an outlet, you know, if you use it as such.
Correct.
So, and that's why I said like we really need to get away from these unhealthy outlets.
Yeah.
And figure out like what we actually like to do. And I think, because I always say like when I was in high school, like I wasn't really motivated to really do anything. Like I like playing basketball, but I knew I didn't want to go to the NBA. So it was like
just
what else?
Yeah.
But I think but because like you know they had acting and stuff like that, but that's not something that was like talked about.
Right?
That's
Yeah, no.
That, like, it was like, oh, you should go be an actor like that. I mean, that's more probably like it is a cultural thing, but it's also like a small thing. But it's just I tell people all the time, they're like, I don't know what I want. Like I tell them, like just go out, bro.
Do yoga, walk, exercise, do it.
Try different things. Like it was like, well, I don't know. Because I asked them all the time, like, what do you like? And I don't know what I like. Okay, well, go play basketball. You don't like that? Go play tennis. You don't like that? Go paint. Go walk. Go to the beach. Like figure out what you like because you like something.
You like something.
You just haven't been exposed to it yet. And that's why I tell people all the time, like, travel too, like be exposed to different things.
I love it.
And like you just never know like what you're gonna like.
Which is true. I definitely have to agree with you on that, and especially when it comes down to women as well. That's why I say do yoga, exercise, call up your friends. Don't try to be on that man all the time. Do something, find something that you love.
I think too. Even though it's like a little saying or whatever, but I'm gonna use that as an example. The whole my man thing. Don't get me wrong, because I like saying it too. But like just going to the idea of like people who's like, I want to be around my man all the time. Like I want to be up under my man all the time. Like only thing we need is us. We don't need friends. We don't need family. That is unhealthy.
I like my man, but no, he will tell you. I'll be like, go somewhere, go away, and he gets mad because I don't be wanting to go hang out with him. Go away, like.
It is very important to have healthy relationships outside of your relationship.
Because being around me could be draining. Because I'm like a mute sometimes. I don't talk much. So I don't want you to be over here with me and I don't talk. And then you irritated with me because I don't say nothing. Go be with your friends. Go be with your family. Do what you got to do. And I mean, if you want to lay around with me or whatever, my bed is my happy place. Everybody know that. My children, they'll come in there and be like, you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's just, And
then I think too, because like we in relationships, like we like or relationships thrive on balance. So I think in a lot of cases you get an introvert and an extrovert. And what extroverts don't understand is that as an introvert, you can overstimulate us really, really easily. So you need other extrovert friends that you can get that energy out with because we may not always be a good outlet for that.
Right.
And then we get overstimulated and then we get frustrated. And now we're arguing about stuff that ain't even an issue for real.
Right.
So you need healthy relationships outside of your relationship.
Right. So last but not least, if it was something you could change about mental health, what would you change?
There was something I could change about mental health.
I think I got mine. I can go first if you want. If something that I could change would be actually people talking to therapists, actually going and actually doing it. I don't care if you go 5 weeks, 10 weeks. Actually going, actually doing it.
Right.
Because you can go one time and you, like I said, my first time, I don't feel like I was honest enough. I should have been more open and I wasn't. So how do you really know if you like it? Because you don't really know that person. Exactly. So I feel like if I could change something, it would be to actually get them to go and do it and be there in that moment. Get that chance to talk.
And I tell like people don't understand, like, because like I said, they don't know. So it's like you can't really blame them. But I was telling somebody the other day, I'm like, bro, just go. Like once you get in there and you go to talking and you realize that like you're actually able to have a conversation that you've never been able to have, like you're gonna feel so much weight lifted off of you. But the thing that I would change is probably the way, even though it's been getting better, but probably the way that it's advertised or stigmatized, so that we can change the way we look at it, and understand that, you know, like I said, it's not always about trying to fix something. It could just be just understanding yourself better. It doesn't have to be, you know, you going because your life is falling apart. What if you just want to make your life better?
Right.
Like, So yeah, I think I would definitely like to change the way we look at going to therapy or mental health in general.
Got it.
Because it's a natural thing. Like nothing's wrong with you necessarily. You just need to understand yourself better and take more precautions to live your best life.
Definitely.
So that's what I would do.
And it's a wrap on Evolve. Let's end the stigma.